We're going to call to order the March 5th regular board meeting for Competitive Edge Charter Committee. I would like to recognize that all of the board members are present this evening with the exception of board member Sharon Bannister, who will not be here this evening. And I'd also like to ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, 1.04 is approval of the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion by board member Code. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by board member Debbie Miller. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. Is there any public comment for CECA? Okay, we'll move on now to the advisory committee report. Mr. Mead, Ms. Reichman, actually.
I'm assuming I put this better.
Yeah.
Because we met not long ago, our most recent PCAC meeting was a review of upcoming events, including the following. We reviewed 2 of our service partner actions, including our upcoming Walk for Life event on April 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Yucaipa High School Stadium, and our Adopt a Street and Trail, which takes place the last Tuesday of the month. This year, families who earn a minimum of 40 service hours will be recognized with the Presidential Service Award. And we're really excited about that. We reviewed some upcoming school culture building events, our staff versus student volleyball and flag football games, both taking place after school next Thursday, March 14th from 2:45 to 3:45, and Read Across America event that took place after school Friday with a ton of reading activities put on by our CECA staff. We had a great turnout, and I saw many of the remnants of Cat in the Hat all around our office and school today. We celebrated Mrs. Stahl's recognition by the California Association of World Schools, where she captured the top honor as an IB leader. So excited for her. She deserves it in every way. And it includes, which included a paid trip to Washington, D.C. to the IB conference. Really excited for her. She's a wonderful IB coordinator. We reviewed our lottery process, which has changed a little bit over the years, I hear. And the live lottery for the 24-25 school year is taking place this Thursday at 4 p.m. I had participated in many lotteries over the past on Saturday mornings that took hours and many people. So I think they've really done a good job. We talked about the upcoming The World is Our Classroom Foundation, the annual gala that is taking place April 11th. If anybody wants to come, boots and buckles, they're having line dancing and dinner. And it will help support technology and field trips for the 24-25 school year. And we wrapped up with an idea for a weekly roundup show that will be on Instagram Live every Friday to review the events and activities coming up the following week, trying to improve communication with parents and just get one more way of communicating out there. 3 of our student leaders will be the voice of our new show. Anyway, thank you.
Wow, very good. Sounds like a creative meeting. That's very, very good. Any questions or comments from Ms. Reichman? No, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Okay, we're moving on to our consent calendar. We have 4 items. Is there any item that a board member wants considered separately? Okay, hearing none, I would take a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I would move to approve.
Got a motion by board member Bob Miller, second. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second by board member Debbie Miller. Any questions? I don't believe so. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. Now we're going on to additional administrative information. Ms. Binks?
Thank you, President Snellings. I would just share that it's been wonderful to be a part of the 8th grade projects. They are moving along swimmingly. We're going into our 3rd meeting with our students. I have the opportunity to work with 3 young gentlemen who are have chosen health as their topic, and so they each one have chosen something different. We're working with them, going through the process of putting together their presentation, and they are it's really fun. And when I talk to them about what their colleague students are doing, they're excited to hear about what they're doing as well. So it's supported by Ms. Bernier, who seems to be doing an amazing job. I know she communicates to us well to remind us so that we don't miss our our meetings, which is much appreciated. But when it's time for their showcase, we'll make sure that the board is aware.
Okay, great. Anything else? Okay, Mr. Mead, anything?
Just invite you guys out to the volleyball flag football game. We do need more players. So come on out. And lottery's this Thursday, 4 p.m. So if you ever wanted to kind of see how that looks in the process, we'd love to have you there virtually or live.
Is it a big glass ball blowing ping pong balls? And you kick it out?
It used to be something like that, but now
Okay.
got it done.
Okay. All right, let's move into board member comments. Ms. Coe?
Yeah, I happened to see your Instagram on the jelly bean taste testing. I feel like 4 was a little bit, you should have gone for more. No, you should have gotten a whole box of it. Because 4 was, yeah. Next time, whole box.
Okay, Debbie, any?
So my sister was visiting recently. She works in another state at an elementary school, and they don't do anything. And she's so sad because it's changed, different principal and stuff. And she said it's just, the kids go to school, you go home, nothing. And I hear about your school and all the wonderful things you're doing, staff, volleyball, and the flag, what was the other one? Volleyball and flag football, fun. And then just all the different, the Walk for Life, everything that the whole staff and families and students get involved with. And I just think it's just amazing and fun. Yeah, it's great.
Board member Bob?
Yeah, Joe, I got a chance to go over your school this week, and a couple of your students interviewed me, and they were so professional about school safety. I did give them handouts, so they should be able to put a good report, but I think it's going to be neat what they're putting together. They were very inquisitive. I hope they have a great career. I try to recruit them for law enforcement, but we'll see what they, in fact, one of them, their dad was CHP officer, so I thought that was interesting. And wonderful, just very pleasant, and you know, ask great questions. So that's a compliment to you and your staff there.
Okay, great. Thanks for everything. We are adjourned, and we will re-adjourn our regular meeting at 6:30. Call to order the March 5th regular Board of Education meeting for the Yucaipa-Calamasa Joint Unified School District. And right now I'd like to ask everybody to please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to note that all board members are present this evening with the exception of board member Sharon Bannister, who will not be with us this evening. 3.04 is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay. I'd like to accept the motion for approval of the agenda as presented.
I move to approve as presented.
Got a motion by board member Bob Miller. I'll second the item. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. There is nothing to report out from closed session. So we're going to go into a couple of highlights, and we're going to begin with a presentation of our school resource officer supports and safety program with Mr. Bradley and two of our SROs, I believe. Ms. Binks.
Thank you, President Snellings. We are extremely happy to have Deputy Bobby Jones and Deputy Rico with us this evening, and Lance Bradley, who's going to come as our Public Information and Communications Specialist to talk to us a little bit about how we are doing with our current school resource officer program, not only in Yucaipa, but also in Calamasa, and then also at how we are doing with safety in general as in regards to our Stop It program. So
Okay,
we had a
great.
little anniversary with that. And so Deputy Perez and Deputy Jones, if you'd step in too as well.
All right, welcome guys. Glad you're here. Okay, go ahead, Lance.
All right, good evening, President Snellings, members of the board, Superintendent Binks, members of cabinet. I want to thank you for inviting us up here tonight to talk about school resource officers and school safety. The first few things we're going to cover are going to be, what is an SRO? Who are they? They're standing right
Yeah,
here.
we can see.
And then what they've been up to over the last year. And then at the very end, we're going to close it out with a little Stop It update because we hit a pretty big milestone earlier this month or last month. So what is a school resource officer? According to the National Association of School Resource Officers, commonly known as SROs, are carefully selected, specifically trained and properly equipped law enforcement officers with sworn authority trained in school-based law enforcement and crisis response. So there haven't been a ton of studies in the last couple of years on school resource officers, or really at all in the last couple of decades, but the most recent one was completed by the Bureau of Justice Statistics and said that there was around 23,000 SROs nationwide back in 2020. And in the same study, they were able to identify that around 42% of public schools have school resource officers that are either part of a sheriff's department, a local law enforcement agency, or actually employed by the school directly. And then much of the work of an SRO is to be a high-profile community police officer who builds trust among the youth, the staff, and the community as a whole to create a safer environment, not only for our students while they're at school, but also for everyone across our community even when school's not in session. So who are our SROs? Over here on the left, we have Deputy Rico Perez. He's been with us all year, and he's with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and he is one of our dedicated SROs. And there he is with some very nice children at Wildwood Elementary, or Ridgeview. That's Ridgeview. And then here on the right is Deputy Bobby Jones. So he was actually our school resource officer before Deputy Perez was, and each of you authorized us to have another SRO, as did the County Board of Supervisors. And now Deputy Jones is here to help out Deputy Perez, and so he can cover down on more of our schools at once. So Mesa View, as you may know, and maybe the public doesn't know, Mesa View is our only school that's actually in Riverside County. Even though we have Calamasa Elementary, its address is a Yucaipa address. And so while the two gentlemen up here are not actual SROs, they support us from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. They've been extremely supportive of supporting our one school and making sure that those students at that middle school have the same supports as all of our other schools. And pictured here as a deputy is Sergeant Cedino. And then there's also Deputy Hinkle, who we do not have a picture of at this time. So now I'd like to invite Deputy Perez up here to share kind of what this last year has been like and all of the things he's done. It's actually pretty amazing once we look at the combined totals of everything they've done. It's over 700 interactions they've had with our kids. So Deputy Perez, come on up to the mic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Deputy Perez. I've been the school resource officer the last half last year and then beginning this year. So this year we've done 205 school visits, 113 follow-ups, 74 incidents, and 17 crimes, along with 16 CPS follow-ups. The school visits, those are when we go to the schools, not necessarily for any type of calls, but just to engage with the students and the teachers. Parents come up to us. They tell us how much that they support us and like us at the school, keeping their kids safe. So we actually spend most of our time going to schools, not on any type of calls, preventing calls. We do, our crimes are just with normal school fights. We get some vapes, marijuanas, and 5150s, and then a couple child protective service follow-ups as well at the schools. We also do other stuff, like when we get notified about a vape problem or something, especially at Yucaipa High School, Bobby and I are involved in the stings that the Yucaipa Sheriff's Department puts on. And so those things, the results from those, they translate directly into our kids in the community and the selling of vapes and getting vapes away from our kids. The other thing is the 290 follow-up. We are a part of the 290s, the sex registrants. And so Bobby and I are part of a team with the Yucaipa station that to follow up with those people, make sure that they're checking in and that they're in compliance. So we do other things related to the youth of our community and our schools. That's not just related to the schools.
All right, next up will be Deputy Jones.
A little shorter. All right, so as Deputy Perez said, I'm his partner, Deputy Jones. I was the school resource officer in 2022. Unfortunately, I broke my leg playing football, so I don't suggest you do that once you get older. So now I'm back. Thanks to the board and everyone to have two SROs. It's actually been a lot better having two of us. I'll just go over my stats. They're pretty much the same as Deputy Perez's. I just started in November. So 194 school visits, like you said, that's just us being at the school, hanging out with admin, going to recess, playing football, giving out stickers. Love going to elementary schools. They love us there. Can't have enough stickers. 93 extra patrols. Extra patrols, basically when I'm just sitting in front of the school doing paperwork, other stuff that, I don't really need to be in the school for, but just for parents and people passing by to see we're there and you know, they think someone's there at all times, which mostly we are, but like you guys know, we have 12 schools, so we can't be everywhere at once, but those are the extra patrols. And then I personally have done 33 investigations from school threats at 5150s, Child Protective Services, and runaways. So when a tube runs away, you know, we handle that. And then 10 home visits, which is just us going to the school, or sorry, going to houses with admin for kids who haven't been coming to school, try to get them to come to school. And like Deputy Press said, we are the part of the tobacco operation. So we do stings, work with getting the vapes out of the school, and work against the businesses that are selling to the kids. So that's basically it. Happy to be here, and thank you guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. So originally I was only gonna have a slide for each of them, but I thought their combined numbers are pretty impressive. So that's a total of 776 things they've done this school year, just this school year. And they've also, and in addition to that, they've gone to 21 different school events. That's school dances, things that happen after school, these board meetings. They're spending a lot of time, you know, outside of the school day with our kids and making sure that our district office is safe and making sure our school dances and all those events are safe. And then here we've compiled a pretty great deal of quotes. I'm not going to read all of them, but I'll make sure I include them in my Friday board report for each of you to read. But there were a couple that were pretty impactful, and they're from 2 students. So Ella is our ASB president at Yucaipa High School. And she said, I definitely think that this instills almost a healthy fear within students as it helps maintain order, even if subconsciously. I think it's a great resource and perhaps an opportunity to promote it more within the community and student body. And then Daniel, who's a student at Green Valley High School, said, I want to thank Deputy Jones and Deputy Perez for serving the city and for always keeping me safe and giving me the best advice to get me back on the right path. You guys rock. So then we'll move into a quick stop and update, and then we'll open it up for questions for either myself or the 2 deputies. So just a quick recap, Stop It is our anonymous reporting platform, sort of like the city uses WeTip. It allows our students, community members, our parents, employees to report concerns directly to district and school administration, and it can be completely anonymous. It's all about what you put in there. If you put your name in there, obviously not anonymous anymore, but it's not going to ask you for your name. It's not going to require you to give your name. And we monitor it 24/7. If our district administrators are on vacation, there's somebody else that fills in on it. We're talking about winter breaks, Saturdays, Sundays, summer breaks. It was even active. And our really big milestone that we hit about 2 weeks ago was we hit 1,000 total activations in the district. And so that's a pretty significant, that's more significant than what we had with WeTip. I think over a couple of years, we had like 3. And so, you know, Stop It's been a lot more than just an application or a platform. It's become ingrained in sort of our school culture, and it's really allowed our district administrators and our school administrators to act quickly to things that are happening on campus and hopefully mitigate anything. There's been plenty of late nights that, you know, Callie or members of cabinet have been up late and me as well, drafting messaging, trying to dispel any rumors that we were able to find out because of Stop It. It takes our administrators over the course of this entire year, it takes them only 6 minutes to open a Stop It. So that means the minute someone puts it in, 6 minutes later, they're already acting on it. And then it takes about 96 hours to close, which is, you know, right around 4 days. And the reason it takes so long is it doesn't get closed until that investigation's finished. And so when you think about an investigation lasting only 4 days, that's pretty impressive as well. We've also come down. So beginning of the school year, we averaged around 120 activations a month up until November. It's already cut in half. We're at 60 and we're only in March right now. And so obviously the work that we've been doing to Stop It, and with the help of our SROs, we've been able to mitigate a lot of things and hopefully calm, you know, school culture as a whole and make everybody feel more safe. And right now we only have 3 incidents open, and they've only been open for about 2 days, and our administrators are acting on them currently. And after all that, we are more than willing to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, comments? Bob?
Well, you know I'm going to say something, Mike. So first of all, you guys, thank you very much for what you do. We honor your service. You guys are doing a great job, and I knew you would. I know you're probably not excited about doing presentations. You're more about doing the work, but you guys are very visible. I've seen you at games, traffic, out with students, and you never know what student you may change their life. not only for feeling safe, they come up and talk to you about things. And you never know that you leading by example, we may have a few future recruits that want to be law enforcement officers. We need that right now. And I think your service to our community is exemplary. You got a great station over there, and you've done a wonderful job, and I knew you would, and well received. So thank you for what you're doing. You probably don't hear that a lot, but as you move forward in your career, this will help you in your career, and you'll be giving more presentations when you make sergeant and all the things as you move forward. But thanks for what you do. I know the principals and the frontline staff appreciate your quick response. They appreciate how you handle things, because there are times that parents come into the office and they're not always happy. There are things that you de-escalate very well. You are very proactive in helping our schools. We're lucky to have you. And the board and I are very thankful for what you do, and we'll always support you in everything we can. And Lance, thank you for putting the presentation together. The stats are amazing, especially the stop it stats. Superintendent Biggs, we've talked about that every stop it inquiry is responded to see whatever the threat is, whatever the information is, it is investigated. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit, Callie, of how we're on it right away. And it's all about safety of our students, our staff, and our community around the school. So thank you for what you do. And that's all I have to say, Mike.
I do know that you guys have me looking at my speedometer more than I ever have in my life on Uguay Boulevard. So for that, I thank you. And I do have a question, and maybe I'll ask you, Deputy Perez, because I know a lot of what you guys do is establish relationships with students. That's really what this is about, I think, in my mind, although I know there's other things. What's been the response to students in our district related to you coming on board and establishing yourself as an SRO?
We were trying to establish relationships with the students while they're younger. When we go to Wildwood, we're trying to mold them to get to the point where they don't ask, why are you on campus? They know that when we come on campus, we're there to, play basketball with them, football, hand out stickers, and they're not questioning why we're there. When they see us at home, they may be knowing why we're there, because 99% of the time it probably isn't to hand out stickers. So they see us in a different light, in a different attitude, mood, we're talking different. We're joking around with them and stuff like that. And I think that is important that they see that side of law enforcement,
right,
as of just to what they may see at home.
Okay, we really appreciate you guys being out there with our students. I think that Superintendent Beeks wants to say something about stop it also. Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I just wanted to say that, just that quote from that student saying that just having you guys around is keeping them on the right path. I think it's so important that you guys are there at the schools. I just love it, and that you're playing basketball and just making the kids feel comfortable around you too. And you're good guys, and they feel safe. So thank you.
Yeah, I've seen you guys in action on campus, and it is a wonderful sight to see. They truly appreciate you, the young kids, and then the adults just sit back and enjoy the relationships you are. So thank you very much for all of you do.
Thank you, President Sellings. I just wanted to mention in regards to the stop it's, it's quick. I think they've called me sometimes during the day when you've been with me, and the way that they handle emergencies is very helpful. We would remind the public that if one of us happens to miss the call, if they've tried our phone tree and they've worked down this line, they actually will go directly to law enforcement. If there's someone that they think is in imminent danger, they will work through a subpoena to figure out where the call is coming from, and then use law enforcement to assist. So it's a very thorough program. We have not had any glitches to date. It's been really good. But I always want to check in with our principals to see how it's working for them, because they're doing a lot of that investigatory work at a different level than our deputies do. But I've heard it from more than one of our principals that they'd rather be ahead of it than behind it. And so I just want to recognize that their time to open it, get it assigned, and then work through it is great, and thank them for their work.
All right, very good. Well, thank you, guys. Out of the 23,000 in the country, I'm glad we have you two. So thanks for being here this evening, and Lance, thank you for your presentation. All right. Now we're going to move on to another highlight, and this will be from the Colton Redlands Yucaipa Regional Occupational Program Virtual Enterprise. I know Crystal Nisicki's here. Hi, Crystal. Thank you for being here. Come on up.
Hello, hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. We're super excited to be here. Mostly excited for you to meet my amazing students here at the end. There's a lot of good things that we're doing on campus. So I'm going to share those highlights with you. So I want to thank also not just my students, but their family members and their parents for coming as well. So great support system in the community that we do have. So my name is Crystal Hickey. I am the Virtual Enterprise Pathway teacher, the Career Planning and Management teacher, and the YCJUSD Student Store. I'm in charge of those 3 different things on campus. So some of you I have seen before and have actually presented in front of before, but just to go over some highlights. Virtual Enterprise 1 it starts as a business pathway, and we are articulated to RCC, which means that these students also get college credit. It's one of the fantastic things that they get. Not only that, do they get it in Virtual Enterprise 1, but they also get it in Virtual Enterprise 2. Some of the highlights is my classroom is set up a little bit differently. It's got different sessions involved in different rotations in terms of blended learning that we do on campus. So if you look here, we do different rotation stations. There's some store training involved, there's some market segmentation involved, and reading and collaboration and current events. So one of the biggest things that we do that my students get super nervous about is interviews. We get people from industry that come in and do real interviews with my students. There has been times when the students have been hired because of this. So they dress up, they look all nice, as you can see. I remember talking body language, eye contact, handshakes. We do all of that. They have their resumes ready and they're ready to go to answer the questions. Another thing that we do to get them ready for public speaking is market presentations. My students are also in charge of the student store on campus. And so they go out and make build relationships with teachers and students on campus, and they do presentations about the student store. They also build their own brochure as well, and they pass those out in class. They wear all of our spirit gear, and they even go into the offices and do it for the secretaries and admin as well. One of the big projects that we do in class is our board game creation, and that's what we're doing right now. So I'm going to show you kind of some highlights because they are amazing in what they're working on. But the whole point of this is going into the second Virtual Enterprise 2 and building their own business. Okay, so for this, they have to use their imagination, use their creativity. They have to market for it. They have to get up in front of the class and share their ideas. And we actually have game day right after when they do it. This is one of the board games. It's not completed yet, but it's just the process of doing it. So I want you to see that the creativity and imagination that goes in it. We have like fairy tale ones. We have the scary ones. We have ones that have to do with history. So one day that when they finish, if you look over here on the left, on the top left, these are the cards that they're using with the questions that they're going to be asking so they could do and play these board games. At the very end of this semester, they have to be prepared to go into Virtual Enterprise 2. So they have to create a product, they have to market their product, and they have to build a website. And then they present that to the class to prepare them for the following year, which is my capstone class, which is Virtual Enterprise 2. Now, Virtual Enterprise 2 is also articulated to RCC. You're going to see a lot of things right now. I'm going to show you some videos in regards to what they do in this class. But the first thing, within the first 2 weeks that they have me, they're already doing an interview. And so we have to interview for certain positions within the firm. Okay, so now we're talking, this is our business, right? So they have to interview for a CEO position, president of sales. We have human resource department. We have a communications department, a media arts department. So we have different departments set up within the classroom, and they run it themselves. Okay, so the first thing they do is have to actually interview for those actual job positions. So again, I bring industry leaders in. The man on the right has been such a support system for me. He's a retired teacher. He did VE for like 25 years. And so there's a lot of times where we put him on Zoom in the middle of class going, okay, how do we do this? So he's been a great support system to my students. They could vouch for that for sure. So as the beginning of doing this, we've had to reach out not only to the community, but to teachers as well, because we have to fundraise for what we do. For everything that we do, going to the trade shows and all of the things that we need, we had to make these connections. So we're like, oh my gosh, we have this mini trade show that we have to come and do. So my students partnered with Mr. Jimenez and partnered with Miss Molina, and we were able to get our banner made on campus, and we were able to get Luke here made our backdrop so we could actually put that up. So we have construction tech and we have the engineering program on board that we're making connections with during this. So I'm going to show you right now. This is our first mini trade show. As you can see, what they're doing right now is they're actually doing sales with the product that they made. So they're talking to other students who are also in the VE program, and they walk around and they make those connections and they network and they learn different things from each other, which is just fantastic and amazing. In this picture, this is the most recent one that we went to. It is packed out, it is busy, and I'm going to show you in the next video too what our president of sales does when they come up to him and he wants to make a sale. So if you're looking over at the right, that is Luke, and he is actually like focused. He's like totally dialed in, and he's getting ready to do an elevator pitch to judges. Okay, so on the very right, so we didn't know that they were going to do it across the way. We went to Cal State University of San Bernardino to do these competitions. And so we're like looking over, we're like, oh my gosh, he's doing it right now. So of course I take a picture, and there he is, and he nailed it. He did such a great job.
I'm Javier Robles. I'll be the sales representative today. So as you know, the world is getting more dangerous every day. There's human trafficking, there's kidnapping, people are unsafe. And usually children are the most vulnerable out of this. So we created Tagalog, which is essentially a phone in a bracelet for kids. We have two models currently, Tag Light, which has a tracking device on it. So essentially a parent would put a tracking device on here, the kid would wear it, and through the phone, they would know their child's whereabouts. All we know is needed added for protection. So we created Tag Pro as well. It has a call and alarm system, it has an enforced metal band, and it essentially connects to an app where the parent can call through that app to the bracelet like a phone. And pretty much we did this for everyone, but it's more specifically for children. We also have a ton of new deals, especially now that we're heading into the spring season. We got St. Patrick's Day, we got Easter, we have a spring sale. Because we want to keep people safe, we also want them to save their money. And if there's anything I can help you with to purchase, I can help you out.
So Javier couldn't be with us tonight, but he was like already embarrassed that I was going to show the video, and I'm like, you're good, you got this. So as you can see, he was trying to be really loud. If you watch the video, you can see that the rest of them are also selling during the same time. So it's so busy, and they're constantly moving around doing their thing. So super proud of them. As you can see, it's really busy when they are just setting up in the very beginning. Right now, they're setting up to make sure that they're prepared on their iPads to make sure that they can make those sales. There's Luke doing his elevator pitch. All of the flyers and the brochures were created by the students. That's the future of BE right there next year. So that was just one day that I kind of wanted to put that together so you guys can see just the busyness and what they do and how important it is. And how happy they are, because I just love seeing them do their work. So now I'm going to talk about the student store, but briefly. The student store is super important. All of my classes work in the student store. You have, most of you have actually been in there, and you have seen how busy it gets, and all the profit and everything goes back to the activities on campus, which is fantastic. And a lot of times we donate to students that are in need as well. If they can afford something, we give it to them. And that to me is really special. But not only that, these guys here all work there and they get that hands-on experience, the cash handling, the register procedures, the customer service, the talking and getting to know their fellow classmates. And that is so important. If you look at the TVs, we also do in the background, the TVs, when the students walk in, sometimes they see themselves on there and they have nothing to do with my program because we put sports on there, we put the clubs on there. We want everybody to feel welcome when they walk into the student store. Not only that, they get to learn how to do the deposit and count the registers down and look at the receipts and compare. There's so much that they learn just from the student store itself. Now we're going to talk about the career planning and management. That's the next thing I do, and it's the last. So this was new this year to me. So it's all about work experience, and these are my students that work in the community. And this is how we're starting to build those relationships with the students and their bosses and managers, and I just want to show you too. We kind of highlight them on my wall in the classroom of where they work, but all of these places, okay, Yucaipa, Calamasa, Redlands, my students are in it. And they're working, they're doing great. I also do site visits, so I get to meet the managers, I get to meet store owners and see how they're doing. I get to support them as well as support all of these places. So it's really wonderful to do. In your folders, you do have this. These are the flyers for Yucaipa High School Career Planning and Management and the flyer for the VE. But believe me, there's so much more that I wish I could go on and tell you about, but I know we're limited on time. But last but not least, the most important reason why I'm here tonight are these guys. Okay, so I have my students here from, some of them are here from VE1, VE2, and my career management class, and I like to let them come up and introduce themselves and kind of tell you a little bit about how this relates to what either they want to do in their future. So thank you so much.
Okay, great.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Saheloni Vallejo Preciado. I'm a senior here on Yucaipa High School. This class has brought me many opportunities, such as getting college credit. As well, once I'm graduated, I will be getting a graduation.
Hello everyone, I'm Carolina Dewar. I'm the CEO of Tagalong. This class has really helped me understand what the business world is like, and it's made me realize this is what I would like to do with my career. I'm also a CRYROP ambassador for VE2.
Howdy. I'm Luke Taylor, the president of communications for the YHS VE2 class, as well as the representative for the elevator pitch competition. This class has built my experiences in business, as well as understanding the real world and how we can progress.
Hi, my name is Adria Rodriguez. I'm a financial associate, a 2-year ROP ambassador as well. I'm currently a senior, and this class has given me the opportunity to learn how to persevere through trials and failure. A lot of times in this class, we don't get instructions and help from someone who knows how to do this. So like me and my fellow people also have to understand how to be self-taught, and that's something I'm sure you guys understand as well.
Hello, I'm Isabella de la Cruz, and I'm the CFO at Tagalong, and I also worked on the business plan presentation with Helene, Carolina, and Adri. This class has really taught me how to come out of my shell and out of my comfort zone, as well as growing into myself and being confident with who I am.
Hi, my name is Jesse Castaneda. I've been working at Chick-fil-A for the past 2 years, and I was in Virtual Enterprise 1, and I was in career management for the past semester and a half. I transferred over from Virtual Enterprise to career management due to the fact that I want to work more and get more experience at my job at Chick-fil-A once I become a trainer. And for the past semester and a half, I've learned, I relearned how to write my resume and to have an interview again, talking points, and it's really a good outlook before I graduated high school, whenever I proceeded to college. And Mrs. Hickey showed me a lot in this past year, and I'll thank her for everything that she's provided me.
Okay, well, now we are open to any questions any of you guys may have.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here this evening. I think the most important thing that I heard Ms. Hickey say was, look how excited they are about learning. And you can tell, and I'm hoping that we can replicate that excitement in all of our courses, because you can tell that you guys are spot on. You're engaged in what you're doing and you're learning as you go through it. And I can tell by your comments how meaningful all those experiences are for you. So we really appreciate you being here. I know that we've had a chance to walk into your mock interviews, and it's pretty intense in that classroom when you walk in. And I've been in there a couple of times to see that, and I've watched each of you perform with employers, and it's really remarkable the maturity that you're able to show. So I'll see if there's any other questions or comments.
I agree with President Snellings. It's, yeah, your enthusiasm is great. Good job up there speaking at the podium. I know it's difficult at times. Luke, very impressive outfit tonight. I love the hat. But you know, there's if you want to stay local to college, Cal State San Bernardino has a great business school and public administration. You guys have slide right into that. I think you do very well. You get real practical experience, and this is the stuff I know the board gets motivated when we see students excited about learning. And great job. You guys are well represented.
Debbie.
I just love this program. Not only do you learn about sales management, administration, you know, in the store, and then doing the games, websites, everything. So you can learn a lot about being part of a business or starting your own business. And it's a great country, and there's a lot of opportunities to do your own thing and open your own business. So I've had a few and I love it. I think it's great. So it's a great program. And Ms. Hickey, where'd she go? Oh, you're amazing. It's an amazing class. And I can just see the excitement that you have in teaching and having that part of your class. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always nice to see students. I think that's the best part of all of these meetings. And I can see you have learned professionalism either from Ms. Hickey or from your family. So you are very well represented in this room. So it's nice to see you. Thank you for coming.
Okay, it sounds like we just have comments instead of questions. So but we really are happy to have you here this evening and representing the Virtual Enterprise Program. So thank you very much. And Crystal, I always enjoy going into your class, and it's always very special to do that. So thank you for all your efforts. It's not easy putting a program like this together. It's really not. And running a store. I mean, you're running a store.
Right. But I can't do it without them.
And I know you can't. So thank you all so much for being here. Crystal, thank you for your presentation.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. I would like to point out that in support of Crystal and her program, we do have Scott Rain, who's the program manager for UKIPA and also Redlands. And I believe that Dr. Engel's here somewhere. You here, Jason? There he is. And the superintendent of CRIROP is here also supporting you. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Right, really quick. They wanted to, one of their components of their class, put together a employability portfolio, and part of the highlight for them is to get a picture of the board.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Sure, we'll do it.
Going back, she's got like crazy.
Did you get us left? We got left. All right, 1, 2, 3. All done. All right, thanks everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna get back up. Okay, now we're moving into 5.01 human resources, and this is cool right here. We're gonna do the classified school employees of the year. So this is good. So we're gonna go up and shake hands. President Stallions, members of the board, Superintendent Meeks and Cabinet, and our esteemed audience and special guests this evening. Tonight's definitely a night of celebrations, and part of celebrating is we have an event every year where we recognize our classified school employees at all of our schools. And who we're recognizing tonight are individuals who were nominated by their site, and then there was a judging process and a collection of information gathered. And what you're seeing tonight are 8 individuals who won the highest honor at the district level competition. Just to give a little perspective before we have these names are then forwarded on to the county level competition where they have a chance to be recognized as a county-wide classified school employee of the year. And even potentially from there, there's a state level competition. And we've had individuals in the past go all the way to Sacramento and get that flight, the beautiful flight to Sacramento and back. But it's not about the flight, of course, but it's about the great work our classified employees do. So in a minute, I'm going to call up the names and we're going to honor our finalists and have them sit for a picture with stand for a picture for the board. But I do want to recognize not only are our recipients receiving a certificate from the board, but our very own state Senator Ochoa Bogue has a very fancy certificate that you can put in the frame and go ooh-ah in the refrigerator with. So this is a short way of saying we value and super appreciate all of our classified employees, the backbone of our district, along with teachers and administrators. This work, this very important work for our children wouldn't happen without all of us. So with no further ado, if I could first invite up for the category of just paraprofessionals, also called instructional aides, if I can invite up Irma Luna Alvarez. High school. Irma is amazing. All right. In our super important custodial and maintenance services series, a lot of hardworking folks in that category. From the amazing Dunlap Dolphins campus, I'd like to invite up Kathy Everwine. Kathy. All right. So we also feed children, and Ann Van Dam's probably remember breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, seems like everything nowadays. But in our child nutrition category from Valley Elementary School's amazing kitchen, let's invite up Melissa Howard. All right, being a former Mustang myself, I would be remiss without mentioning that this honoree in our security services category is our very own, the amazing Isaiah Joyner. Isaiah.
So there's a student services category, which covers a wide range of services to students. And we have an individual here who is a speech language pathologist assistant. She is outstanding with children. Her name is Lacey Lafferty. Lacey. All right, this is amazing. And we have another amazing woman in the Clerical Administrative Services series. This woman's at two schools, Green Valley and Oakview. Her role is instrumental in helping students and families access the complicated world that's beyond school and in the community. She's helped my own child. Let's give a rounding cheer for Aries Lewis. All right, we have these things called computers sprinkled around the whole district, and they don't work unless there's individuals that make sure they work. And our entire instructional technology team is amazing, but in this particular category, for technical services, I'd like to invite up Rob Reese.
Thank you so much.
All right, and certainly not least, we have a collection of skilled tradespeople in our maintenance and operations department. When it rains, it gets fixed. When it's clogged, it gets unclogged. When it needs to be painted, it gets painted. And lo and behold, in the skilled trade services section, our very own lead painter, who is amazing, who's helped all of our schools, who's a great musician as well, Chris Williford. So, Mr. Bradley, if we could help get a group photo, that would be great. And family members, if you want to scooch up and get your Kodak moment, please do.
It's because I told the board because I went to school. All right, so we got everything really quick. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, next.
All right, let's get these individuals out of here.
They'll be in this photo. They'll be in this photo.
Actually, I think this can be. So weird.
So apparently we don't have any public comment this evening. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna give them a couple of seconds to quiet down a little bit. Member report. Welcome, Hannah.
Trying something different tonight.
Oh, okay.
Presentation.
Oh,
pictures
good.
for you guys.
Okay, great. Awesome. Looking forward to it. Okay.
Okay, so the first thing that I kind of wanted to shout out and recognize, kind of a follow-up. Last meeting, I told you guys that cheer was going to nationals, and they actually competed. And not only did they compete, they won first and for their division.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal performance. It was really great. It was very well deserved. It's a great team this year. I know some of the cheer girls, and they're very excited about it.
Sure, yeah, that's great. Yeah.
They really deserve the win. It was a very good.
Yeah, I saw they were all over Instagram.
Yeah.
Posting all over the place.
And then the next thing, Dr. Seuss Day was this Saturday, but we had a chance to celebrate with some of the elementary schools on Friday. It's one of my favorite events we do all year. It's really fun to go and read to the elementary schoolers and connect with the younger students in our district and share the love for reading with them. And they also treat us high schoolers like we're celebrities. So it's very fun.
Good.
And then just the last thing I had to share tonight, I don't have any actual pictures of it yet because they're upcoming, they haven't happened yet. But this Thursday, we have our presentations for the student advisory panel. A group of me and some other high schoolers in the district, including from YCJUSD, Green Valley, and Oakview, have been going to these sessions, and we've been building presentations with other high schoolers from all over the county about student issues. And we're going to be sharing those this Thursday with really anyone who wants to come and listen. It's like some local elected officials, board members, superintendents, just all the people that could really hopefully make the changes that we're hoping to inspire by sharing our voices. And then the next thing we've been working on is every 15 minutes. It's like a mock. We used to do it before COVID, but now we're bringing it back this year. And they put on like a mock car crash to hopefully steer students away from drunk driving and like make the issue more real and tangible to them. So we've been working with the local police, including our SRO Deputy Perez, who came and had a meeting with us on last week. So.
Oh, great. Sounds like you have a lot of good things on. So what's your issue at the student advisory panel? What are you presenting on?
My issue is under, because they have different sectors.
Yes.
And so my sector is the injury and violence prevention.
Okay.
And my group is presenting on domestic violence and how we can provide support for students who face violence in their homes.
Oh, great. Okay. And I really appreciate the little slideshow. I mean, it does add some more flavor to it. So I appreciate you doing that this evening. Any questions for? Thank you, Hannah. We really do appreciate it. And thank you for participating in the Best Buddies too. I know I told you that privately, but it was It was
It was
just
a
so,
lot of fun.
I could tell that you were having fun, and it's just so well done, and you were such a fun part of it too. So I really, it feels good when I see you. I know you, just like, hey, I know her. So, that's a good thing. So thank you. Yeah. Okay, now we're going on to our Colton Redlands ROP report, and board member Debbie Miller, I believe you have a couple of things for us.
Yeah, let me get my little notes here. As always, I love attending the board meetings. Just so many great things happening with CRYROP. One of the interesting things was Yucaipa High School and Oakview, they went to on a tour of the San Bernardino County Courthouse. Those were the criminal investigation students. So that was cool. They were able to see what it'd be like. They even got to sit in the courtroom and the jury and see how the attorneys are. And it's just it was a great, it sounded like a great tour that they got. And then I know this doesn't have to do with Yucaipa, but I think it's a really cool program that CRYROP is doing. They're starting. It's a aviation pathway, and they're doing that at Rev. Maybe more schools after this, because it sounds like a great program. They are even meeting with Superintendent Ted Alejandre, and he is discussing the military options for those students that go through that aviation pathway. And they're working with the San Bernardino Airport, possibly getting some students over there, maybe working there. That would be great. There's so much potential to this program. It's a great program, and that's part of CRYROP, and I just love everything that CRYROP does.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're moving on to our discussion action session. And it looks like we're finally getting to the fun stuff. Okay. Dr. Freeman, I'm sorry you have to follow all that frivolity, but we're going to have our second interim financial report presentation. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, President Stallings, members of the board, Mrs. Banks. Thank you for having me here this evening to share the budget report. Yes, that what a chance to follow up on the VE pathway and then classified employee of the year. Yeah. So I'm not sure this will be as entertaining, but I'll go ahead and give you some information. So the first slide, I show this every time. There's a budget cycle we go through every year. The last time I was here presenting in December, on December 12th, I reported the first interim financial report. The first interim is financial activities through Halloween, so October 31st. And then the governor's budget came out. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're here for the second interim. The second interim is the financial activities through the end of January. And so that's what we report on. Top right-hand corner there, as I've shared in the past, our budget is a 3-year cycle. So we have to look at this year and the 2 out years, 24-25 and 25-26. So let's preview a little bit. We are positive. I'm gonna have a few caveats to that in a second. To remind the board, positive means that we can meet our financial obligations this year and the 2 out years. So 24, 25, and 25, 26 being the out years. We're here after this board presentation and hopefully approval. Our second interim report goes to the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools for final approval, and then they will send us back an approval letter once it's finally approved. So currently we have a positive certification. So next slide, please. So the first interim financial report, every budget we look at assumptions. The 2 major assumptions, there's many assumptions, but the 2 major assumptions that Ms. Tavis looks at when we're looking at developing the second interim budget report is COLA. So we all know that COLA this year was 8.22%. When I came in December, the projected COLA for next year was 3.94 and 3.29 in 25-26. When I presented in December, we started to hear rumblings, and we knew that wasn't going to be the case. We had heard things around a 1% COLA. And if you remember, COLA is a federal number. So COLA is not something the state decides on. COLA is a federal number. So the estimated COLA with the governor's budget was 0.76, not 3.94, and 2.73. So that's a federal number. That's still estimated COLA. We'll get a more accurate picture when the governor presents his May revision in a few months. we're not, 0.76 might be the COLA. Then the question is, can California afford to cover the COLA? Will they have money to give school districts the COLA? They don't have to under certain conditions. In the past, when the state has not had the COLA, the federal number could be a certain number, but school districts wouldn't receive that amount. So we're gonna have to wait and see. The chart below just, as I've shared in the past, we receive different levels of funding per grade level. So we receive a base grant, and then that's the 23-24 base grant, and then a COLA on top of that. So when I came in December, we were expecting for TK through 3 ADA, 1 ADA, we'd receive $390 per ADA more next year. And at 0.76, that's $75 per ADA. So that decrease between 3.94 next year and 0.76 is around $3 million less revenue to the school district. Next slide. So this is small, I apologize, it's online, but I just want to share enrollment. Sometimes I do a chart on enrollment, but I just wanted to give you the numbers as they were on February 23rd of 24 and February 24th of 23. We track this every day actually, but on the far right are the enrollment numbers without CECA. So CECA, they're part of our district, but CECA students and their ADA is a separate fund. It's not part of the district overall general fund. So when we talk about declining enrollment, some of our schools are up and some of our schools are down, but I want you to pay particular attention to kindergarten. So we can scroll up a little bit, Lance. So TK without CECA is 303. We're excited about that number. We'll hope that sticks. This year in kinder, we have 417 students. In first grade, we have 448. So that's enrollment. So 417, 448. If you remember that for kinder and first grade, if we scroll down to last year, we had 451 in kinder and 486 in first grade. So if you project those numbers out into grades 1, 2, and 2, 3 in the second year and the third year, that's where we're projecting declining enrollment because our kinder numbers for the last several years, our first grade numbers for the last several years have been declining. We saw an increase in TK students. We chose as a district to allow TK students into our district who did not meet minimum age requirements. We grant funded some extra teaching positions to cover those classes, but we're hopeful. TK, we don't have enough years of data to determine if we'll see an increase or not. But in kinder, for sure, over the last 4 or 5 years, you've really seen a decrease. So that's where we're getting declining enrollment from. Next slide. Statewide, so enrollment is one thing, but we aren't paid on enrollment. We're paid on average daily attendance. So when students are actually in school. And so this is statewide data from last year. So 2021, ADA was not collected. We were held harmless. But 21, 22, and then 22, 23, you can see statewide an increase where 89% of students were coming to school. And last year, statewide in a unified school district like ours, 91% of students are coming to school. So depending on the month, we're running 91, 92%. And so we are in line with that increase that we're seeing at the state. Hopefully recovery, as you can see there, 1920 average school district attendance across the state, unified school districts was 94.71. So hopefully we can return to that. Next slide. So we're funded on ADA. And so the top line, let me start with the bottom line. So the bottom line is our current ADA in 23-24, and then our projected ADA for 24-25 and 25-26. And that's based on the decreases in those primary grades like I talked about. The top line, we're funded, one of the initiatives was not to fund a school district on their previous year ADA or current year ADA, unless you're growing, which we're not, but it was a 3-year average. So the 23-24 funded ADA for us is 7506, but that's based on those hold harmless years for ADA. So as we get away from the COVID hold harmless years, our average 3-year ADA gets closer to our actual ADA. And so you can see what we're projecting over the next 3 years. Next slide, please. So this is what our budget looks like now. Remember I said it was a 3-year budget report, our revenues, expenditures, beginning, ending fund balance.
but I want to draw your attention to the ADA contingency or our savings account. So as long as that 25-26 line is not zero or negative, then we have a positively certified budget. So right now, when we look at 25-26, our savings account is $3.691 million. So we have a positive certification. So we have our reserve for economic uncertainty, our 3%. So as long as we have those things, then we are positively certified. What this does not include is a possible agreement with YCEA that will be voted on by both YCA and the board in a few weeks. So right now we're positively certified. Remember, this only goes through January 31st of 2024. And so when we have that agreement, that 3.691 million will not be there. Next slide, please. So future considerations. So this is what you're hearing, I'm sure, in your organizations, as we're hearing across the state. When the governor proposed the budget in January, he mentioned a $37.9 billion budget deficit. When the legislative analyst office, that's the legislative body's fiscal analyst, when they looked at it in February 21st, their estimation was $73 billion. Not in the school's budget, but in the state budget as a whole, which translates to about $15 billion short in funding K-14 schools, K-12 as long as community college. So obviously this trend is not headed in a positive direction. And in May, right now the legislature and the governor are negotiating things. Can they afford the COLA? There's been lots of speculation about how they address this budget deficit. Is it a zero COLA? Is it cuts to programs? Many different programs have been mentioned. So the legislative body and the governor will have to get back and forth and figure this thing out by May. Next slide. So what we're waiting for, though we're positively certified now, we're looking for the governor's May budget revision. Any potential impact that if that 73 billion got larger, cost of living adjustment, is it going to go up or down? And if it does go up, let's say it went to 1%, can California afford to fund any COLA? We'll watch student enrollment, like I said, daily, average daily attendance, and then obviously always increased costs for goods and services. So as of second interim, we do have a positively certified budget, and be happy to answer your questions you might have.
Okay, go ahead, Libby.
Let's see, slide 3. So we are positive certification. That's our goal, obviously, every year.
Yes.
And if we don't meet that, if you get, so what's the difference between being qualified and negative? Negative, they step in, right?
So that's a great question. Qualified means that so remember, it's a 3-year budget. Qualified means that you can meet your financial obligations this year, but year 2 or 3, you could have a problem. Negative means you're gonna have a problem this year. And so if you have a negative or qualified budget, a negative, they could step in right away. A qualified budget, we've had one in the past, around 5 years ago. The county makes you develop a spending reduction plan. And if you don't follow that and meet your obligations, eventually there could be someone from the state to come over, board loses their power, some other things happen. But yeah, so I mean, down the road, if we didn't correct what we needed to, there could be serious consequences.
And one other question, sorry. I never heard you say this, maybe you did, I shouldn't say that, but you probably did. That the COLA is a federal number. So that's a federal number, and that's a number that our state then is trying to reach. Is that right?
Correct. So last year, the federal number for COLA was 6.56. So last year, the state had enough money to fund the COLA, and they did extra. So COLA is a federal number, and the state then determines if they have enough to fund the COLA, not fund the COLA. Many years ago, we had something called super COLA. So yeah, it's a federal number, and then the state determines if they can afford it or not.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's it.
So, do you have a question, Bob? Okay. I'm looking at the, I know that YCA is not going to vote on their agreement for a couple of weeks. And so we really can't comment on that percentage or what that's going to look like because we don't know that yet. But the assumption is that the savings account is going to be less, presumably. But the term savings account, can you talk a little bit about that? Because in my house, a savings account, that's a good thing to have. And it feels good to have it, but this isn't a house. Is it really a savings account? What is the purpose of that money?
Sure. Lance, can you slide to that slide? So the purpose is ADA contingency. Because we're in a declining enrollment district, that it isn't really a savings account. It's we're projecting declining enrollment. So every year, because we're in declining enrollment, we have to put money into this account in order to be able to meet our financial implications 3 years out. When we do the YCA agreement, I appreciate we're not talking about numbers, that will be wiped out. And then action the board took on the right size staffing and the extra positions, that will get us to a continued positive certification.
Right.
Unless we'll have to do some more work if that COLA comes in under 0.76.
Correct. Okay, thank you. Bob?
Real quick, one more question on what you just asked. So that's sorry about that. 23, 24 is almost 4 million. 24, 25, 7 million. And then it goes back down to 4.
So if you think of this as a continuous loop. So if you look at 23, 24, the beginning fund balance is 11.4, the ending is 1.8. You can see the next year it's 1.8, and then 11.4, and then 11.4, and then 7.8.
Got it.
So because of the reductions that we've made, the board's made, then that has gone up. But that is a continuous funding stream. And so when we look at 3 years out, that's part of the overall line item to get us to 3.6 currently. And then, because if you look at the expenditures in 25, 26, you can see it's gone from 104.7 million to 107.9 million. So though we've made reductions and those expenditures are, we've made reductions for 24, 25, we have not decided on any further reductions in 25, 26. And so as that expenditure goes back up, if we do make further reductions for 25, 26, then we can adjust that number.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
That's probably where I was gonna go first, Eric. I'd asked you about that expenditure line, 25, 26, you explained it. It seems to me, if we really look at, can you go up one slide, Lance? Right there, that baby right there. Everything points to average daily attendance and enrollment. I don't see huge development in the city of Wekiva right now for more families moving here and us having 3.1 per household or whatever it is. So average daily attendance is the issue. Now, that meeting I went to, Callie, I was telling you about, they were talking about maybe redesigning what average daily attendance may be. There's talks about what that could cover, medical, if somebody's off for medical or something. Is that something that may get addressed? Or is that just some magic that they're trying to work to maybe, I know we can't be for sure with the state, but that seems to be the issue.
Can I ask that?
Yeah.
So there are two talked about developments around our schools. So Calamasa Elementary and Dunlap Elementary proposed apartment projects. The Calamasa one by Calamasa Elementary is further along, and we'll see where that lands. That could address it. But also, yes, anything the state's proposing, any project they're proposing, any increase they're proposing, because actually the governor's budget on January 10th had over $1 billion of new programs that he identified that he wants to enact, along with having a $37.9 billion deficit in January. And so we've heard all kinds of things about, let's keep this program. This is important. And they're all important. I completely understand, but I think that's what's going on at the state level is, if we want to increase things, where we take away from, and those types of things.
I think board member Miller, you also were referencing ways to recoup the ADA that's lost, so that instructional time. So the governor is looking at remodeling that ADA recoup. So yeah, using the ability, but he's changing it to be pretty specific that it has to be if you're a high school English teacher and you have a student that misses that class, you have to provide high school English. It's not like a Saturday school catch-all kind of thing. It's very specific. So we'll see how that turns out in the next few months.
So it really comes down to having people at school. I mean, really, we can, I don't think, we've all read everything that comes from California School Board and what other districts are doing. We took action early. Now you're seeing all the other boards are realizing what's going to happen. You can't wait till year 3. I think our projections are right on, Eric. I think you're right where you need to be. And I'm not sure there's going to be some panacea of great news in May. So we have to live in the real world of where we're at. So you have to address attendance somehow, some way. But like I said last meeting, I don't know if we're chasing our tails on that, because I just think there's a new paradigm of what people think about getting kids to school, and where's parent accountability on that. I don't know what that answer is. I'm sure somebody's studying it someplace, but that for me, if I look at what you presented, that's where the rubber meets the road. It's having kids in school. Am I wrong, or am I misinformed, or what?
No, and so generally, don't quote me on this, but I guess I'm saying publicly, but generally a percent ADA is about $1 million to our school district. So if we go from 92 to 3 or 90, yeah, so we keep doing that. I can share that we recently ran and shared our chronic absenteeism information with our principals, and we are significantly down with chronic absenteeism across our percent of students who are chronically absent. So it's showing that what schools are doing is having impact. I'll share that school information by school, a Friday letter, but we are seeing some impact. And if we can get to 93, 94, 95%, then we're in a good place.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate it. And I believe we do have to approve the second interim report as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by board member Debbie Miller and a second by board member Kathy Coe. I think we've had all our questions answered. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 9.02 is business services. This is an E-rate purchase of WAN digital transmission services. It's a 1-year extension. Anybody have any, do I have a motion to approve this as presented?
I'll move to approve the WAN.
Got a motion by board member Bob Miller. I'll second the item. Any questions or comments? Okay, I don't have any either. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 9.03 is a request for proposal. This is to upgrade some of our infrastructure with our technology, utilizing E-rate financing. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by board member Debbie Miller. I'll second the item. Any questions or comments related to this? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. This next one is for a DocuSign agreement. Do I have a motion for approval? I have a motion by board member Coe. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second by board member Bob Miller. And if I understand correctly, before we vote, we're going to be looking at some other options for this, correct?
Correct.
For DocuSign?
Yes.
There's some other, okay. Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. All those approval say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. It passes unanimously. 9.05 is a purchase of band equipment for Mesa View Middle School. I have a motion for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion by board member Kathy Coe, a second.
Second.
Second by board member Debbie Miller. Any questions or comments?
Eric, that funding comes out of the new governor's money?
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Part of this,
Sorry
it's
about that.
okay. It's all right. Eric and I work very well together. Part of this is from, this is the Arts, Music, Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant. So that was part of the plan that the board approved just a few months ago.
Okay, we have this is a good thing. We have a motion and a second. All those in approval say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 9.06 is a standard agreement with the Office of Administrative Hearings. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Debbie Miller and a second by Board Member Coe. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. The next one is a revised board policy, the second review, maintaining appropriate adult-student interaction. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Debbie Miller. I'll second the item. I do have a comment. I appreciate the work. This is a really sensitive topic. And from the board members nodding, I believe we probably all looked at it very closely. And I appreciate the work that was put into it and the sensitivity that was utilized in doing that. I know that some of this is boilerplate from CSBA, but not all of that was. And so I really appreciate the time and effort that it took to bring this in front of the board, because it is timely and it is important to have this. So I have a motion. Okay.
Thank you for the hard work you've done and the time that you took to do it. You didn't rush through anything. And just everyone that you spoke to, I think your hard work is not overlooked.
Yes.
And to include the bargaining units, I mean, they were understand it, so.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in approval say aye.
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 And I vote aye. Passes unanimously. Are there any consent calendar action session items that any board member would like considered separately? 10.5. Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar action session 10.01 through 10.04 and 10.06 through 10.10?
Move to approve 10.01 through 10.02, excluding 10.05. That's pulled for discussion.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve all of the items with the exception of 10.05. And is there a second? We already have a second?
Second.
Okay, have a second by Board Member Debbie Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 10.05 is business services. This is purchase orders, pay vouchers, commercial warrants. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Debbie Miller. I'll second the item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And is there an abstention? One abstention. So it's three with one, 3-0, three with one abstention. Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Now we're going on to our information proposal session. We have some first reviews of board agenda or board policies. Any questions or comments related to any of those? Okay. Now we're going into additional administrative information. Ms. Meeks.
Thank you very much, President Stillings. I think we might have missed one.
What do we miss?
The history session.
Oh, how'd that happen? I guess that was my oversight. Okay, I apologize. We're gonna have to go back to 11.05. I'm not sure why it wasn't showing up here, but 11.05, we're gonna go back to the information proposal session. Do I have a motion to approve educational, we have a presentation. Okay.
At this time, I'd like to invite up our Director of Teaching and Learning, Kathy Jackson, and members of our team and teachers. And as they're making their way up, they're going to give information on our history, social science, instructional materials adoption process that was started back in fall of 2022, along with our teacher teams from our middle and high schools, and also our amazing parent and community group who were in with us. And I saw some individuals out there tonight as well. And we appreciate your hard work on this and participation.
You guys probably thought you were off the hook. Sorry,
I'm not gonna lie, we all looked at each other and said, it's okay.
It's okay. Thank you for being here, and I apologize for skipping over that. Not sure what happened.
It's fine.
Okay.
If it hadn't been for all the work, it would have been just fine to skip it. Good evening, Board President Snellings, Superintendent Binks, members of the board and cabinet, and community. It is my honor here tonight to talk a little bit and to introduce the team. There's a lot of moving parts in a 2-year history social science adoption for 612. And as I said, it's my honor to introduce the team that supported all those moving parts within the 2 years. And I'm going to introduce them in order that they'll come and present. We have Mrs. Kim Caricado, Ms. Megan Hill,
and Mrs. Heather Leon. And to kick us off, I'm gonna have Ms. Caricato come on up. And she's gonna speak to the very first part of the entire process, which is very important. And that is building a community lens with our community members and our teachers.
Good evening. The beginning stages of the process for the history and social science adoption started back in September of 2022 with parent and community input and informational meetings. At these meetings, we shared the timeline and the details of the adoption process with the community, and the community was able to ask any questions that they had during this time, and also they provided feedback and input as to what they would like to see in the history and social science curriculum. So from these meetings, we developed what is called a community lens. At the first meeting with our history and social science team in October of 2022, we presented the feedback from the community to them, as well as the community lens, and the teachers, along with that feedback and their expertise in the classroom, generated a district lens. Both the community lens and the district lens were used to guide the adoption process to ensure that the materials that we piloted were relevant to the students of the Yucaipa-Calamasa district, as well as the community that we live in. So next, Ms. Megan Hill is going to go through the details after that step of the process.
All right, good evening. I'm going to go back to that previous slide for a second. To continue with what Ms. Caricato was sharing, the process in October of 2022, that was our screening of materials. So the teacher team looked at all of the different programs and using the community lens as well as the criteria that the teacher team developed and the state approved toolkit and rubrics. They screened all of the materials and collected data on those materials. And then that led us into April of 2023, where we had one full day where teachers kind of came together and looked at the two programs that had the highest rating from all the rubrics. And on that day, we also had, we invited our parent and community members to preview the materials that would be piloted. We had a morning session and an evening session to preview the materials that would be piloted in the classrooms. And then during that day with the teachers, we kind of really worked on logistics of how we would roll out the pilot, the data that would be collected to review during this process. And then after that, that led us to the beginning of the school year in August, where the teams piloted the first program from August through October, and the second program from October through December, collecting the data throughout the pilot. And then December of 2023, we invited our parent and community groups back in to again review the materials, but also to share their insights into the pilot and experiences their students had in the classroom with the materials. And with that feedback, in January of 2024, we shared that feedback with the teacher team when they came together again to create our report of findings. And what that is kind of a large document you'll see linked here, but it's where the teacher team looks at the parent feedback, the data collected from all the student assessments during the pilot. Also, the teachers gave a student reflection survey, so the students' input on how they felt, using the curriculum and what experiences they had with the curriculum and benefits they saw with it. And then they also completed the rubrics, which is collecting data on all the important aspects that the team felt was important, as well as the community members and the state rubric. And they compiled all of that into the report of findings, which led us into February of 2024, where the notice of the two programs that were recommended were posted in the local newspaper. And they're also available in the lobby for review, the programs that the teams have recommended. And that leads us to today for March of 2024 for the first read of the recommendation for the two programs. And so on the next slide, the teacher team for middle school has recommended for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, My World Interactive California World History from Savas. And for high school, the teacher team for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade has recommended Impact California Social Studies from McGraw-Hill. And
again, what led to those recommendations was the report of findings, which is this multi-page document that details the two-year process the team went through, the rubrics used, the collection of the data throughout the pilot, and the team's recommendations and their reasons for recommendation. So next, to kind of share about this and also share her experiences during the pilot, I'd like to introduce Heather Leon from Yucaipa High School, one of our government econ teachers.
Good evening. I'm here representing an entire group of high school teachers from Oakview, Green Valley, and Yucaipa High School. And I just want to share out with you, the teachers found the McGraw-Hill book and series significantly more teacher-friendly as far as organizing lessons and making sure that we could connect both the textbook and the digital versions of the assignments that we were doing. We also found by asking students and getting to work with them that the McGraw-Hill had a much better impact with them. Both the textbook version was easier for students to read and understand the comprehension of the information as well as vocabulary, and then that the online version offered fillable PDFs and graphic organizers that the students all identified as being helpful in their instruction process and being more engaged in what they were doing. They felt it was a better product. So thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. I'm going to close with an enormous thank you to our community, our parents. This was our first meeting that we had where we brought everybody in and got their input. And I want to say thank you to our parents and our community. And then if you go one more slide, I also want to say thank you to our teachers that we had the largest teacher team for a pilot we've ever had. They were really excited about this process. And I thank them for their patience. But mostly I thank everyone because our community participated and our teachers, and in them working together, our kids win. So definitely better together. So this is the closing. Thank you.
If I could, Kathy, I just want to say that this is a topic that can really lend itself to some questions and concerns. And I appreciate the transparency in which this was done, the number of people, when I was looking at the number of people involved, not only teachers, but the community. I think it really talks to the effort of the team to make sure that everybody who was making this decision was actively involved in it. And I can tell there was a lot of thought given to it. I've been through this process and it's not easy. It is such a difficult thing to try and get everybody with different opinions together and come to a common ground and a common agreement on what we think is best for our kids. And so I really appreciate the work that you did with your entire team and Jamie with you through this process, because it's not easy to do. And we landed in a good place, and I'm really happy to see this first review. And I'm assuming that our next board meeting it will come back for approval. So thank you. Any other comments from the board or questions?
Yeah, Lance, can we do the first slide again, Lance, or with the timetable on it? There you go. Thanks. The overview. Kathy, I think that's really good the way you guys did that. I mean, it's comprehensive. It covers community support. It's segmented out that there's no area it doesn't show it was tested and then looked at again and then feedback. I mean, that's the way you're supposed to do projects. If you look at that line in the months you did it, I think that was, or the team did, I think that's really good the way it was done. The only thing I thought, who was the first?
It's Caricato.
There's Caricato. I know you know your face. I'm sorry for mentioning. The only, I just want to ask this question that it perked me up. We pick topics relevant to the community we live in. How did we determine that?
The feedback from the community.
Like what did we hear? Because in the past, we've heard quite a bit from our community that come to the podium there about what they think. So I was just wondering what that was.
It was an incredibly supportive discussion, very transparent, kind, multiple viewpoints, and everybody all coming to agree to do what's best for the kids. And it was a really great process to be a part of, and to just hear the discussions that came out of the community and their input and their feedback that they had in the process.
Well,
I'd like to add, Mr.
Oh, I'm
Miller,
sorry, go
I
ahead.
think one of the topics specifically was civic literacy. Like our community and parent members really want our students to develop that civic responsibility to be responsible citizens and active participants in the community. So we really took that to heart.
So there were no polarizing subjects that came up?
I will address that. When we first had our first meeting, I'm not gonna lie, like Mr. Snelling says, you're a little bit worried about what's, because we're saying, what do you want to see in your students' curriculum? What do you need? We brainstormed with the parents, and there were moments where people had opposing views. But we all respected one another and our views, and we all landed in the same place, as Ms. Caricato said, what's best for our kids. And the list, we do have the list. I can share that in the Friday letter of the parent community lens and the teacher lens. But the things were, it would make your heart smile, what we landed on.
Yeah, great job, guys. Great job on the project.
Yeah. Debbie, did you want to say something?
Yeah, many years ago, I was part of this too. I think it was science. I had to take a big old cart of books. So I appreciate everybody, the community, the parents in the community, and of course the teachers. Like Heather said, I appreciate also that you talked to the students too and got their input. I appreciate that. Part of it is definitely the teaching aspect of it, and is it easy for you guys to do that, but also for the students, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate all your hard work. I can't imagine it. I'm sure it was a lot, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, they had a rating scale for all student voice. Heather had a really big spreadsheet.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, now we can move on to additional administrative information. Ms. Davis.
Thank you, President Stillings. One of the many jobs that Dr. Brown has is to have charter oversight, which includes Competitive Edge, which is our dependent charter, and Inland Leaders, which is our independent charter. And in that, she attends not only the state trainings, but also the county trainings to make sure that our oversight is current. And she does an exceptional job. She's also working technology in the back, so I want to thank her for the work that she does. But one of the things that we were made aware of that Dr. Brown brought to our attention was the need to support Inland Leaders in changing their process for their lottery. They in the past had been doing a lottery for TK and then again a lottery for kinder, which is not an acceptable practice. And so it is required that the board have the opportunity to hear the information. If a board member wanted to ask me to put it back on the agenda for any kind of vote, you could do that, but I wanted to share the resolution that Mr. Gordon brought to Dr. Brown and myself today. So resolution recognizing amendments to the ILCS public random drawing. Whereas Inland Leaders Charter School ILCS is authorized under Yucaipa-Calamasa Joint Unified School District, whereas ILCS seeks to align its practices with the state requirements in Education Code Section 47605E2B and best practices, whereas ILCS Board of Directors authorized an amendment to the transitional kindergarten TK policy regarding the public random drawing process on January 24th, 2024. Whereas ILCS transitional kindergarten students were previously required to re-enter the public random drawing process to enter the ILCS kindergarten program, whereas such changes approved the matriculation of TK students into kindergarten without the use of an additional public random drawing for any student enrolled in TK. Be it resolved, the Yucaipa-Calamasa Joint Unified School District Board of Education through this presentation recognizes the change to the transitional kindergarten policy made by the ILCS Board of Directors on January 29th, 2024 to allow for TK students and Inland Leaders to matriculate into kindergarten without re-entering a subsequent public random drawing. Any questions from
No, I do. After I heard this, I think it probably is prudent for us to bring it back to the board for approval. But I do appreciate, I know this is fresh information. I appreciate you bringing it to the board tonight, letting us know about the new process, the process that they've selected. But I do believe that we need to bring it back for formal.
We will bring it back, and Dr. Brown wanted to make sure that we had it in a timely manner for you to at least receive the information so that we can acknowledge that they've changed their process.
Okay. All right, anything else? Okay. Anything down there? That's Jim. Okay, board member Coe.
I just wanted to say congratulations to the classified employees of the year. That's all for, and the cheerleaders for getting for this nationals there. Always good to see our prior out students being really, really well. And I wanted to say good job on your efforts in the history for collaborating with all of our educational partners. What's best for our students.
First of all, Hannah, thank you. I love the slideshow. More of that, I like that. Because then we can see what's going on. I just love it. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 shout outs today. The first one, I got it out of the News Mirror, and I just thought it was a really sweet, amazing story. It kind of shows and represents the amazing students that we have in the district. Student Amira Johnson she goes to Wildwood Elementary, she's a 5th grader. Apparently, a lot of the playground balls were stolen, and she took her savings and wanted to replace those stolen playground balls. And so her friends got wind of it, and some other probably parents and community members, and they all pitched in, and they were able to purchase those 20 playground balls for Wildwood Elementary. And I just think it's very sweet. And I'm going to mention her friends too. Abigail Ramirez, Ellie Treese, Trinity Johnson, and Jeremiah Johnson. It was a really cute little picture in the News Mirror a couple weeks ago. And I just love hearing stories like that about our sweet and caring and kind students. And my other shout out is to everybody that voted today. I think it's super important. My parents are immigrants from Germany. They became citizens probably 30 years after they came here. And from then on, they are so proud. They voted every year, every election, and it's an honor. And whether you vote for this side or this side doesn't matter. It's very important, and I'm very proud of my sticker that I voted today, and I think it's real important. And today at work, I found out as one of my coworkers, she's young, was not registered to vote. So all of us surrounded her and told her she needs to register. It's important, and we can complain and complain and complain, and I kind of feel like when I vote, I have a right to complain. So because I voted. So anyways, that's it.
All right, thanks, Debbie. Bob.
That's good. So I just want to, tonight I'd just like to thank our superintendent and staff, and how hard you guys really work behind the scenes. And that Stop It App presentation, over 1,000 hits. The public doesn't realize how many hits you get, and then you're mitigating issues before they're really an issue. How much work that really takes behind the scenes is 24/7 for you and the staff. We don't talk about it. You guys just handle it. And we're so lucky to have the staff we have. And that means everybody, because principals got to look at everything, and staff and everything, But that 1,000, remember when we were approving Stop It, we were like, is this going to work? And it's proven itself worthy. And that was great to have that presentation tonight. And I just want the public to know that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with the staff that people don't know to mitigate the many issues that a school district has every day. And we're lucky to have you guys. And I'm just proud of you. I'm proud of the staff and the hard work they do. We've had to go through some tough budget times lately, but hopefully we'll come through that. We've right-sized the organization. We're making this, as Eric presented tonight, there's a reason we have to do everything and to be financially solvent. So your staff does a great job, and we appreciate your recommendations, and we value what you do. So you need to hear that from us once in a while. So thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I want to thank the special education teachers at Yucaipa High School who facilitated with their students the Best Buddies program. Those kids don't often have their stars shine in front of people, and their stars shined in front of us at that Best Buddies. It was a wonderful event, And I thanked Hannah, and I know Tyson, your son he's a ham, by the way. Your son was involved in that, and there were a lot of other students involved in that. And Frank Tucci's daughter, and Dan, thank you for continuing that program. It was just a wonderful evening, and the amount of work and the precision that was in that particular presentation was just, it made my weekend. Not that it's about me, but it did make my weekend. I'm tearing up a little bit right now because it was so wonderful. So I just want to thank everybody who participates in that. And having said that, we're adjourned.